Well, the party leader parade continued this morning. It was the NDP leader's turn for a grin and grip photo op with the Prime Minister, followed by a private meeting to discuss the return to a minority Liberal government in the House of Commons next month. And Jagmeet Singh is the NDP leader, joins me in the studio. Nice to have you back. I think first time since the election.
Good to be back, Don.
All right, yeah. You were in that meeting, by my count, longer than any other leader this week, and I'm wondering if that could be interpreted that Trudeau was more open to your demands for, a national farmer care, dental plan, Indigenous justice, and climate change action. Should we interpret it that way?
Well, I can certainly say that there seemed to be an openness to work together, and I want to be constructive. I want to be firm that I'm here to fight for Canadians, and I want to push the Liberal government and Mr. Trudeau to deliver on what Canadians need. But I also want to be constructive, and I'm willing to work together. And from the meeting, it seemed like there was some openness to work with me on things like universal pharmacare. It has to be public and single payer so that if Canadians anywhere across this country need medication, they could use their health card, not their credit card. That's what I'd like to see happen. And some movement on making sure we fight the climate crisis in a way that creates jobs for Canadians. There's a lot of people that are worried about their future. We want to make sure that they're not left behind and that they know that they can count on a good job. So those are important things. Dental care is something that I heard a lot about on the campaign. We presented the idea of a national dental care program to cover Canadians who don't have coverage. And that's something I think is really important. Canadians were excited by the idea, and I wanted Mr. Trudeau to signal in the upcoming weeks that he is open to delivering on that.
You know, it's probably not constructive to talk red lines that you wouldn't cross, but is it really realistic, do you think, Mr. Singh, for Trudeau to go, he's pledged $6 billion for national pharmacare over 4 years. Is it realistically to see him take that giant leap to a fully funded plan that costs over $10 billion a year, all in one mandate?
I think it's appropriate. I think that there's a widespread support for a universal pharmacare, and Canadians need it. I've met far too many people, seniors who are cutting their pills in half, young people who are living with illnesses that they were born with that require lots of medication, people who don't take the medication they need to stay healthy and end up in an emergency room. There's so much cost savings. It only makes sense. We're the only country in the world that has a universal healthcare system that doesn't include medication. It's just something that makes sense to do. It'll save money for families, businesses. It'll save money for our healthcare system. So I really want to see it happen.
I'm curious if in the course of your conversation you pointed out to Mr. Trudeau, everyone says, oh, well, look, the Bloc's got more seats than the NDP. But did you say to the Prime Minister, hey, you should dance with a national-based party that isn't trying to break up the country? Did you make that point to him?
Well, I mean, I think that point is very clear. He seemed to understand that, and I think it's a really solid point to make that. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to do something for people that's going to make their life better, like pharmacare, we're the ones that are fighting for it. There's really no other partner to dance with. If you want to deliver on that, you're going to have to work with us. If you care about delivering on a dental care program, there's no one else that wants to push that forward. We're fighting for that. So if Mr. Trudeau in any way wants to respond to the millions of Canadians who don't have coverage, who want to see their teeth covered in our healthcare system, again, it's us that he's going to work with. So I'm looking forward to making that more and more clear that in this minority parliament, for real action that's going to make people's lives better on the climate crisis, again, it's New Democrats that he's going to work with.
I got to ask you, you do have an Edmonton MP, the only one that's not deep blue in Alberta, and I'm curious what specific measures you support for an economy that's clearly in distress but is rooted in getting a pipeline that you oppose for its economic prosperity.
Well, I think about all the other things that people in Alberta need. They also desperately need access to medication coverage. That's something that's going to help out the people of Alberta. A dental care program would help out a lot of people in Alberta. We also want to see that when we're fighting the climate crisis, we don't want people to feel like they're being forgotten. And there's a lot of workers in Alberta that are afraid of the future because their jobs are at stake right now. And they've gone through this in the past with busts and booms. And I think they deserve a lot better. And so for me, we've got to tie in climate action to job creation so that communities that are hit by the volatility of global markets have the confidence that the government's going to work towards creating a really stable economy with good jobs for those people.
Isn't that kind of a nirvana thing? You've got to, I mean, oil's not going away in Alberta for decades. How do you help those workers who are being tossed aside long before the green economy can catch them?
Well, we know that this is not new. I've had friends in Alberta that told me of the stories of their parents and in years past that went through bust and boom times. It's happened in Alberta before. It's happened in Saskatchewan, where economies based on just commodities go through cycles. And I think people deserve better than that. And I think what that means massive investments now. We know that if you invest in infrastructure, it creates jobs. We need to make those investments in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, in communities where there are losses of jobs and where people can actually see a future where they'll have a job.
But what did you think yesterday when Yves-Francois Blanchet said, basically, Alberta's based on oil, therefore it's not worth helping because they're not green enough? I mean, you're sort of saying, well, I don't think we should help Alberta with a pipeline. We should get them greener. Is there much difference between your positions?
No, I don't believe in letting anyone behind. I don't believe in leaving anyone behind. And Alberta needs help. Saskatchewan needs help. Those provinces are struggling now. And I think that's the strength of Canada when we look out for one another. And right now there's a lot of people that are feeling ignored. They felt ignored by Mr. Trudeau, and I'm going to fight for them. Even if we don't have any seats in Saskatchewan, I care deeply about that province. It's where the foundation of our healthcare system began, Tommy Douglas and his dream. I care deeply about the people, and I want to make sure that they know with New Democrats, you can count on someone who's going to fight for you, and that means fighting for good jobs for Saskatchewan and Alberta.
How do you think Trudeau should hear Saskatchewan and Alberta since he doesn't have any MPs? Should he put...
Listen to us.
Well, no, but could he put... Do you think Heather McPherson, your MP in Alberta, could play an active role either in some sort of cabinet capacity while maintaining her NDP colors?
Well, she said no to that. I mean, and our
team
team
is... be open to... She said she wouldn't give up the NDP stripe, but she'd be willing to help wherever necessary.
Well, she's going to help in our team. We're all going to be helping together, but there's not going to be any sort of formal arrangement like that. But what we can do is say, Mr. Trudeau, we've got representation in Alberta, and we know that working people need supports. A lot of what we're offering is going to make life better for Canadians. It's going to save them money, give them better health care, and also our plan for fighting the climate crisis is one that means we've got to build jobs that are long-lasting and quality for those workers that are worried about the future. That's what I think Mr. Trudeau should listen to.
Think the House coming back will be any more productive, constructive, and congenial, or do you think it's going to be same old, same old?
I'm hoping it's going to be a different tone. I know that Mr. Trudeau is going to need the support of another party to be able to pass bills, and I'm hoping that creates a more constructive environment. I'm ready to work together, but I'm going to only do that if it benefits Canadians. I don't want to see the same past 4 years where the Liberal government's worked to help out those at the very top at the cost of Canadians. I want to see Canadians and families put as a priority. Working people need to be a priority. And
quick point, I mean, the throne speech is usually a very general, vague thing. Can you really see a pathway that you couldn't support it, given that it's going to be more about words than action?
Well, today I saw some openness that gave me more confidence. I'm not going to rule anything out now, but if I see some real concrete commitments, including some timelines and some real solid steps towards universal pharmacare that's public, some openness to dental care, some concrete steps around fighting the climate crisis and creating jobs, and dropping the appeal against Indigenous kids. I mean, those are things that are going to give me some more confidence to vote in favor.
But you'd have to do somersaults and backflips to avoid forcing another election, wouldn't you?
I mean, I'm just going to speak about. I'm going to speak about our support. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to fight for Canadians. Okay. If that means voting against, I'm ready to do that. But my main goal is not to be obstructionist. I don't want to find ways to make this parliament not work. I want to find ways to make it work. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Okay. Well, hopefully you got a chance to chat before Christmas. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks.